Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Saturday, one day away from the end of what has been a very long season of ups and downs. It looked like it was going to have the glorious ending for Arsenal, finishing in fourth, returning to the Champions League. Fortunately now it doesn't look like that is going to be the case. There's still a chance. We know that. We'll have to wait and see what happens at Norwich tomorrow, if they can somehow pull off a bit of a footballing miracle given how Norwich's season has gone and beat Spurs. Then Arsenal can still qualify if they beat Everton. But just 1 point from Spurs does it for them. So I don't think any of us are holding out too much hope, are we? And speaking of Mikel Arteta yesterday, he was trying to be positive about it, but I think deep down he knows that Arsenal's best chance is now gone, and they're going to have to settle for fifth in the Premier League, which means Europa League football, not Champions League football. I will record videos next week, and I'll look more in depth at the season and sort of give my thoughts on it. You know, is it a failure? Is it progress? Or whatever. So I'm not going to really talk about that right now. What I will talk about right now is some comments from Mikel Arteta that you probably wouldn't have seen or might not have seen, because it was in his press conference yesterday, but it was in the embargoed section, which means it's sort of held for the newspapers the next day, and it can go online at 10:30 p.m. It's just basically so the newspapers have some fresh content, fresh quotes for the Saturday morning. There's always an embargo section in the press conference, so you won't see it on the video, on the live broadcast that Arsenal do. They'll sort of cut the broadcast and then the press conference will carry on. And he said a few interesting things in it I wanted to talk about. He kind of admitted, first of all, that this is going to be a big missed opportunity for Arsenal, which he didn't really do in the first broadcast section of the press conference. And there was an interview with BBC that he did as well earlier this week, that a video went out where he's kind of talking about how fifth is progress for Arsenal. But he said, he was asked, is this a missed opportunity? He said it will be for sure, because we were there and mathematically it was in our hands. That feeling could be there if it happens, and it will take some time to take that stuff away, but it's part of football. You cannot take notice of what happened a week or 2 weeks ago, because whether it was positive or negative, because it is not going to have an impact on anything. So he knows full well that this is going to be a missed opportunity. Everyone at Arsenal is going to know that this is going to be a missed opportunity if it happens. Again, there's still a slight glimmer of hope maybe, but we'll wait and see. And he's right. There's no doubt this is a missed opportunity. It's a weird one when you sort of compare. You work out, is this been a good season for Arsenal or not? At the start of the season, someone says fifth, 1 point outside the Champions League, you'd be like, yeah, that's a fantastic season for Arsenal, given where they would come from and the sort of state they started the season in. But given how the season panned out and the position they were in just a couple of weeks ago, then you have to say, look, it's a failure, because they've completely bowled it at the key moment, and haven't been able to deal with the two big high-intensity games where it was in their hands. So I think he knows, and it is going to take a while to get over. I think this summer it's going to sort of go into the summer with a bit of a dark cloud hanging over the place, I think. But, we'll have to wait and see. It's tough to talk about yet, because we just don't know exactly what's happened. We're going to have to wait and see how things unfold tomorrow in the two games, and then we'll talk about it a little more in depth. He was asked as well, are your transfer plans going to have to change now if you get Europa League football rather than Champions League football? Because Arteta has admitted in the past that the plan is already in place for what Arsenal are going to do this summer. So it's like, well, if you get Europa League, is that going to have to change? You're going to have to rip it up and go with something else. He said, I think the market as well is going to have a big implication there. I don't know how it's going to act, what the prices are going to be, and what we're going to be able to do. Obviously, there is no question that playing in the Champions League is easier to attract, easier to attract players, easier financially. So there are pluses. I mean, look, it's not rocket science, is it? If you're in the Champions League, you're going to have a better chance of signing the players you want, because A, you're going to have more money, you're going to have more money to offer them in wages, and B, you're going to be a more attractive proposition for those players. When you're going for players like Arsenal are, like Yuri Tielemans, Gabriel Jesus, who are very, very good players, only have 1 year left on their contracts, there's going to be lots and lots of clubs in for those players, not just Arsenal. And a lot of those clubs are going to be able to offer them Champions League football. And so that is the big negative when it comes to strengthening your squad. It's something Arsenal are going to have to get around. They kind of did it last year, but they weren't really competing with clubs for players who were trying to get in the Champions League, if you see what I mean. Maybe Martin Odegaard, but that was slightly different because he'd had the connection with Arsenal because they'd been there on loan. But this year they're certainly going to be competing for players who are wanted by Champions League clubs, and those two that I've just mentioned are two prime examples in Tielemans and Jesus. And it's going to make things difficult. I wouldn't say it's going to make things impossible. I still think Arsenal are going to push ahead and try and sign those two players. I don't know if they will be able to, but I think they will try. But there's no doubt that the lack of Champions League football is going to have implications when it comes to contracts, Bukayo Saka, Gabriel Martinelli, transfers, and all that. So it is a blow. There's no doubt about it. I think that's why everyone's been so despondent these last few days. But look, I don't hate the Europa League, I have to say. I don't like the tune. It annoys the hell out of me. But I don't hate the Europa League, and I am kind of looking forward to those some of those games, especially away from home next season. But I'm definitely gonna, when that anthem hits, I'm gonna certainly sit in that stadium wishing it was a Champions League anthem rather than the Europa League. I thought he said some interesting stuff about Bukayo Saka as well. Mikel Arteta, during the press conference yesterday, he was talking about Saka and how he needs a rest. He said he's going to talk to Gareth Southgate about it, but when he was asked, is Saka shattered? Because he's definitely looked shattered. There's no doubt that Saka is dipped as a really sort of crucial stage of the season hits, and that's no surprise given how much he played last season, how much he played throughout last summer at the Euros, and how much he's played this season. He's always playing. And Mikel said he needs a break, that is for sure. He's played a lot of minutes this season. He played a lot of minutes last season. You expect your important players to do so, to have the ability and show the quality that Bukayo has shown consistently through the season. But obviously you have to bear in mind at some stage he needs a rest. That is something we need to think about, the plans for him in the summer. Obviously England are in Nations League action this summer. I think England got 4 games, in fact, this summer. And so Mikel was asked, are you going to talk to Gareth Southgate about Bukayo? He said, yes, we are going to do that. We're going to talk to every manager that is responsible for our players and how they are thinking, show them what they have done, how we have done it, and what we expect them to do in the future as well. Everything has to be connected and related to the aim of protecting the player and getting the best out of the player. Now, that's going to be an interesting conversation to have, I would say, because Southgate, yes, player welfare is absolutely crucial. All managers should take that in consideration. But when Southgate is going to have Saka for 4 games, and that's it. And he's seen Mikel Arteta use him consistently throughout the season and not really give him a rest. So for then Arteta to say to Southgate, can you rest him? I think Southgate's going to be within his rights almost to go, not sure about that, Mikel. I think I might play him a little bit as well. So it'll be an interesting conversation. Certainly, I think from an Arsenal point of view, absolutely, we all want to see Bukayo Saka given the summer off and completely rested and come back next season and be bang on it. But from an England point of view and from a Gareth Southgate point of view, he's going to be like, well, I'm preparing for the World Cup. I'm going to need to see these players. I've only got them for 4 games, and so I'm going to have to play them. It'll be an interesting conversation to how that one goes. Right, let's look ahead quickly to the Everton game tomorrow. Going to be a weird atmosphere, I imagine. Certainly if Tottenham score early, then it's going to be a bit of a it's going to sort of die a little bit of a death, isn't it? But I do think that the fans are going to give the team a really good send-off because, yes, I know on social media, on here even, just, on the internet, there's a lot of angry fans out there. And you hear them very, very loudly on social media. But in the stadiums this season, the atmosphere, the support has been superb. They've been fully behind Arsenal. They've been fully behind the players, fully behind Mikel Arteta. And I expect that to continue on Sunday. Yes, there's going to be a lot of disappointed supporters inside the Emirates, but I really think they're going to show a lot of support. And they're going to back the players because the players are giving them a lot of fun times this season. It's been fun watching Arsenal. I've really enjoyed it, and I haven't enjoyed watching Arsenal for a long, long time. And I think the supporters who go to the games, who are inside the stadiums, I think they see that as well. There's a real connection with the team that has been built this season. That's undeniable. You can just feel it with the atmosphere. And I do think there's going to be, although it's going to be a weird game because of probably what's going to happen in the Tottenham match, I do think that the fans are going to give the players a decent send-off this weekend. So that'll be interesting to watch. But team news-wise, ahead of that one, interesting that Thomas Partey is back training. He was seen in the video that Arsenal tweeted yesterday. Perhaps a little bit ahead of schedule. From what I understand, he's not going to be risked on Sunday, even though he is now back in training. And to be honest, it's like, well, what is the point in risking him? He's just come back. Let him have the summer off, really recover. You don't want him to play this one game that pretty much is going to be a dead rubber, you would imagine. And he picks up another injury and then suddenly he's injured for the whole summer, doesn't get a rest, has to be in recovery and rehabilitation all summer, and then doesn't start next season fit. So you just wrap Partey up in cotton wool now. Yes, it's good you're back training, but there is no point you playing in this game. So, it comes to the stadium, watch by all means, but I just can't see any way that Arsenal risk and Mikel Arteta risk playing Thomas Partey, given that he's only just returned to training. But it is good news that he's back in training. Also, Gabriel trained, which is positive considering Arsenal's centre-back situation at the moment. Not sure about Ben White, but I know that Gabriel definitely did train. So you'd think he's in contention to start. Obviously, Rob Holding is back from suspension, so you're probably looking at a centre-back partnership of Gabriel and Rob Holding for this one. Emile Rowe trained as well. He limped off in that game against Newcastle, didn't look anywhere near fit, but he did train, so he'll be in contention for that match as well. So slightly more positive team news than I think most of us were expecting, because I certainly didn't think Gabriel was going to feature, and I wasn't expecting Emile Rowe to feature as well. So probably a stronger matchday squad than many of us are expecting. I think Tomiyasu is very, very doubtful, and Ben White as well is a doubt. So maybe sort of balance out the good news with the bad news, but still a positive, especially that Gabriel trained. Right, predicted 11 then. This is what I think we might well see tomorrow when it comes to the starting 11. Obviously, a lot of it depends on Ben White and Tomiyasu. I'm presuming that they're not going to play, and that's why I'm giving this predicted 11. Ramsdale in goal. Obviously, it's going to be Leno's last game. You would imagine he's probably going to go in the summer. I did wonder if maybe Arteta would give Leno a run out, almost give him a bit of a goodbye swan song. He might actually do that, but I don't know. I'm still going to say Ramsdale. I think Arteta maybe isn't one for emotional send-offs. He's not that type of manager, so we'll wait and see. But yeah, I wouldn't be overly surprised if Leno did start, but I'm going to go with Ramsdale in this starting 11. I think we're going to see Cedric at right back. I can't imagine Tomiyasu's going to be fit, so I'm going to go with a back four of Cedric, Rob Holding, who's back from suspension, and Gabriel as the two centre-backs, and then Nuno Tavares at left back. Midfield, like I said, Thomas Partey back in training, but I'm not expecting him to feature, so I'm going to stick with a midfield of Granit Xhaka and Mohamed Elneny. Probably Elneny's last game in an Arsenal shirt as well. Just like a few players, he is out of contract in the summer, so he'll probably be going on a free transfer unless Arsenal do agree. I don't think, as far as I'm aware, talks have started. I know there has been suggestions talks have started. I don't think that is the case yet. I do imagine there will be a conversation once the season's come to an end on any. For me, it makes perfect sense just to keep him. I'm not saying that he should be a starter next season by any means, but with Europa League football next season, with the demands on needing a bigger squad, he's an experienced player. He can slot in. He's proved in the end of the season that he can come in and do a decent job. He's not going to be that expensive, and he wants to stay, and he doesn't mind being a squad player. So I'd keep him, but absolutely improve in midfield as well by bringing in new signings. Sorry, I've rambled off there. So I've gone back midfield of Xhaka and Mohamed Elneny, and then my front four to start the final game of the season for Arsenal. Bukayo Saka on the right, Martin Odegaard number 10. I'm going to say Gabriel Martinelli coming back into the starting 11. He's going to be on the left, and then Eddie Nketiah as the central striker. So my predicted 11: Ramsdale, Cedric, Holding, Gabriel, Tavares, Xhaka, Elneny, Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli and Nketiah. Could be Nketiah's last game. We'll have to wait and see what happens. Will he change his mind and sign a new contract? I still think that's probably doubtful. I think he's made his mind up, but Arsenal will try and convince him. I think with one more contract offer once the season comes to an end. I think it will definitely be Alexander Lacazette's final game. Whether he even comes on, we'll have to wait and see. I imagine he will get a bit of a run out in the second half, and he should get a decent send off for me, because he's had a difficult final season, I'd say, Alexander Lacazette, but on the whole, he's one player of the season during one of his years at Arsenal. Maybe didn't score the amount of goals we all expected he would, but he's been a decent servant for Arsenal, so I think he'll get a very good send-off at some point during the game, or certainly after the game, in the sort of post-match lap of appreciation that they do when they go around and applaud the fans. For that one, I will be at the Emirates tomorrow, so keep your eyes peeled for that. I'll try and do all the usual videos if I can. Thank you very much for watching. Enjoy your Saturday, everyone. I'll speak to you soon.